Hi everyone, Aaron Day here from Vancouver in British Columbia. Are we having any fun yet? Is this the most amazing time to be alive or what? You know, not too far from where I'm standing, there was an amazing culture of Native Americans that lived in peace and harmony for hundreds of years in alignment with nature. And not too far from here is English Bay, the other side of which is the Spanish Banks, named after the Spanish that first claimed to have discovered this part of the world. A lot of our streets in Vancouver, like Cordova, have Spanish names. And I kind of chuckle thinking about, you know, the young, brave out fishing along the seashore, going to the sea. All of a sudden a huge galleon anchored off the shore runs back to the camp trying to describe something he's never seen before, probably saying it's a massive canoe, big as a mountain, bigger than the trees. And his parents would have said, listen Johnny, you've been listening to the campfire stories too much lately, and you've got to stay home today. You're a conspiracy theorist, and you stay in the tent now, put on your mask. So it's just such an odd time to be alive because of the amount of disinformation and the amount of people who are disenfranchised from the truth. Because there's a war raging on. The enemy's becoming more and more obvious. They're huge and they are brazen. They don't care what we think anymore. They've gone all in. I call it the Davos crowd. A lot of people think of it as the Davos crowd. They are the real super spreaders. You know, it's 119 billionaires, 53 heads of state, which I'm sure that's illegal for most of them to attend. And they come in 309 private jets. And these are the super spreaders. We need to stop Davos somehow or another. And it appeared to me that this Dem move was never to win the election, but to overthrow America. And the plan was to use lawfare and to stretch it out until January, at which time, when Davos arrives, where Bill Gates has supreme power, they'll make an announcement to abolish all governments because of this horrible virus. And they have the solution, which is the New World Order. You know, the virus too is what decimated the native population that were here. There are depictions in our art gallery, because the ships didn't have photographers, they hadn't invented cameras yet. They would bring painters, and the painters, they illustrated piles of natives on the shores not far from here that had died from the Spanish flu. So the viruses have been used throughout history to change the balance of power, and there's even evidence that the blankets that were given to the Indians further south were infected intentionally with the Spanish flu. That's a whole nother conspiracy. See, there I go. But, you know, with all these conspiracies flying around, if it weren't for Q, I would be as confident as I am in the outcome of what this election's going to bring. It is an absolute landslide for Donald Trump. And Q, the whole point is that the future proves the past. And there's so many instances where things did not make sense until the future. And Q, it's been told to us by Juan Savin that they're using supercomputers and artificial intelligence to fight this war. And that would explain how so many of these players are able to post things in various different places at exactly the same time, or in coordination at the very least. Example, the last post of Q is one single word, says Durham. Everyone thought it would mean the Department of Justice, Durham. But it turns out it means Sidney Powell, who was born in Durham, North Carolina. Now, Sidney, she's awesome, by the way. This woman rocks. You would not want to have her as a legal opponent. She keeps saying, release the Kraken. Well, Kraken is a Cray supercomputer. Maybe people didn't know that, but it comes from the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And it is the most powerful supercomputer in the world. So there's a lot more going on here, and this is what should give us all confidence. But this video I wanted to tell you about Galt. And this man, he's the only person I've ever seen, and I tried to find another, that has the first name Qohn, spelt with a Q-O-H-N, last name Galt. And of course, many of us know that Ayn Rand used "Where is John Galt?" in her book Atlas Shrugged. And Atlas Shrugged really tells the story of our modern time. Ayn Rand's amazing how she could see the future. So Qohn Galt is a Secret Service agent. I'm going to put his Twitter handle down below, and it's certainly not legit for a Secret Service to have a Twitter handle. And we hear about what are called deep fake photographs. This is not a deep fake. This man is actually a Secret Service agent, and he has served at least 2 administrations, because there is photographic evidence with him protecting Michelle Obama, he protecting Barack, and Hillary. So Qohn Galt is an important component of all of this. And he opened a YouTube channel, and the other day, so he uses Twitter to say 3, 2, Juan, J-U-A-N, Juan 07, and he drops the video of Juan 07 in the Trump Tower in Vegas. At the top of it, you can tell he's in the executive suites at the very top of the Trump Tower. And the information he shares is fabulous, because it puts us all at ease that we had to let, they have this expression, you can't arrest someone for shoplifting until they leave the store. So we had to let the Dems steal the election in order to arrest them. And that's the process we're in. So it's going to be a bit of a bumpy ride over the next little while. And what's really interesting too is Vincent Fusca. When you look into him, there's a photograph of him standing underneath the portrait of John F. Kennedy, President John F. Kennedy. And I want you to know, normal people can't get access to that part of the White House. As a matter of fact, it's been closed a lot of the time, the White House. And anyhow, there he is underneath the photo. So somehow Vincent Fusca has access to the White House. And Juan 07, that's where Roseanne said that he'd been living. So there's a whole bunch of really cool mysteries that are happening in the background. And I want people to be aware of that. Trump retweeted today University of Professor from Virginia, who says, anyone who chose Biden for president is ignorant, anti-American, and anti-Christian. And I completely agree. But what it is the mainstream media have used programming, and people who only get their information from the television have been programmed to believe what they're saying. It's despicable, and this is really where the war is. It's for the hearts and the minds of the people that have been programmed and indoctrinated. If you think that Joe has done anything in the 47 years to help anyone other than himself and Hunter, you're out of your mind. And if you hate Trump that much that you're going to allow this steal to happen, then you better look at yourself in the mirror, because this is so obviously fraud. Do you see the mail-in ballots in some cases? They'd filled the boxes up where they had to come, and they were full to the top. All Joe ballots. You know, how is... anyway, I won't even go there. But I wanted to make a mention too that there's a certain amount of negative information coming out against China, rightfully so, because the CCP, or the China Communist Party, is part of the enemy. And the way that it's explained, though, is the deep state had infiltrated the CCP. So do not hate on Chinese people, please. These are the most wonderful people, and they have so much. They are us. We are all one. And these people have a fabulous culture, and they're incredible, great people. But there is, just like in the US, a small faction of evil that have embedded, and they're gonna, it's this, I predict we're 3.5 more years fighting this war. Sorry to tell you. Trump's gonna win in a landslide, but that doesn't mean the war's over, because the amount of resources that the evil side have are not gonna vanish overnight. And they're gonna continue to use these resources against us to try and save themselves. It seems obvious too that they never intended to win the election. The idea was to crash the American model, so that on January the 21st or 20th at Davos, they can announce their solution, abolish all governments, and the New World Order will fix everything, no one needs to work anymore, and the end of capitalism, etc., etc. It's not happening. It's not going to happen, but they're going to try. And they have a ton of power, and they're not done yet. So, the Book of Esther, wow, great read. You can read it all in one sitting. It's not a big part of the Bible, but it's really, really worth reading. Also, Isaiah is excellent. Isaiah, however, it's wonderful, and it sheds light on where we are now. We all need to pray for Trump, because there are evil, evil people that wouldn't care how many million they had to kill to get him. And this is a real, real problem. So, the power of prayer, it works. There's a ton of study on this, and you can pray all the time, every day. Just have it in the back of your mind, and sometimes just stop for a minute and say, please God, protect President Trump. And even if you don't want him to win, still protect him. He's an American. This guy's doing good. So Naughty Beaver, he dropped another brilliant video. And it's a long one. It takes a while to get all the way through it. But it is really, really powerful. And it very much corroborates a lot of what I say. And one of the concepts that he shared that I think is very cool is the idea of looking into your own eyes in the mirror. Look deep, spend some time, look really deep, look past all of the hybrid DNA, look past everything. Take your time, and what you'll see is you can see all the way to Christ. We are connected, all of us are connected by the same source, the same light. It is a light, and we're actually just a tiny pixel of that light. And believe it in your heart. We have a chance to change this thing and save souls. And that's what this is about now, is saving souls. Because people don't realize that this is that moment, the Purim moment is coming. And those that aren't saved are destined for a life in the fourth dimension, which is hell. So, in closing, we are all connected to God. Christ is the King. He is our Savior. Believe it, know it, and live like it. And do your part. Get in this fight. All you have to do is have a good attitude, be upbeat, don't be angry, don't be defeated, and engage with people. one at a time, in a very friendly, open way. And oftentimes it's much better to ask them questions rather than tell them what you think. Ask them what they think about all of those votes and the computer. And what you'll see is that's a way more effective method of opening somebody's mind. And then also ask them, have you ever heard of Kid by the Side of the Road? Because I'm telling you something, whoever wrote that book, it's insignificant compared to the content. So Kid by the Side of the Road is the weapon that we have to try and save souls. We're gonna win, but what we want to do now is win hearts and minds and save many, many more souls if we can. Time is short for the evil ones, and we want to try and do what we can to have a bigger majority. And you saw the love yesterday in Washington, D.C. It was phenomenal. I think the whole world witnessed the amount of goodwill and the attitude and the love of the people in Washington, D.C. It was phenomenal. Even the planes, I saw planes coming in where people were filming, flying in from Miami, and the entire plane was singing, and they were all in unity. So this is a tremendous time in history. Don't lose the opportunity to be a part of it. Roll up your sleeves and get in the fight. Thank you very much for watching.